Hello, good morning. Welcome to the Trails Radio Show. Thank you for joining us this morning. Today, my special guest is actor and voice actor Mr. Paul Bellefeuille. Thank you, and join us in a minute. Okay, my first question to you is, how did you get started in the industry? How did your career begin?
Wow, that's an interesting question. When I was a kid, I was about 6 years old, I realized after watching a bunch of different things on TV and how Hollywood worked, that I wanted to be someone else, even at the age of 6. And I thought, well, okay, I can do that, I guess, but, I'm out here in Massachusetts. There's no way I can get over to either New York, where a lot was going on at the time, or out to California. So I just gave up. It wasn't until I was in my early 20s that I started doing some local cable TV stuff. We did a sketch comedy show, kind of like Saturday Night Live, before Saturday Night Live was on, and the show had no budget, so that was fun. It was kind of improvising and bringing in clothing from home and doing your own makeup and that kind of thing. It wasn't until the late 90s that I got involved, not my late 90s, the late 90s, that I got involved in radio theater. And I thought, well, you know what, I think I can really do this. So that kind of transitioned itself to doing industrial videos and a lot of voiceover work and the like. And that kind of brings us up to date, I guess.
Yeah, I've done voiceover. I started out in radio, and I'm still in radio, and I transitioned to theater acting and voice acting, but it always comes back to radio for me. But
yeah, I did radio for 30 years.
Oh, wow.
I did that, and a bunch of us had formed what was called the New Hampshire Radio Theater, which actually included people from TV in the Manchester, New Hampshire market. And so we brought in a bunch of different people from all over. And there were radio folks from all over the state that were interested in doing this. And every year around Halloween, a couple of weeks before, we would put on a show. And the show is edited down to fit broadcast demands, time-wise and all that. And then the shows were broadcast over the radio. We wound up getting a bunch of stations that were interested in rebroadcasting the show on Halloween or the weekend of or something like that.
Yeah, I love radio. It's great because there's so many possibilities and opportunities,
Oh, sure. You can become someone else without anyone seeing that. When you go out in public, they go, "Oh, I thought you were, you were heavier, or I thought you were older, or I thought, everyone has their own conception of what you look like, having not seen you. If they see a photo of you, well, that's one thing, but if they see you in person, that's a whole other deal.
Oh, yeah. My next question to you is, what do you find is the most challenging part for you being an actor? What do you find is the most difficult part?
Well, the most difficult part for me now is getting through the audition process. I've got some friends who are geniuses getting through the audition process, and I have other friends who kind of put the brakes on when they get to the audition for whatever reason. They study their lines and they're very confident, and once they get up to that part of the business, go totally blank. I kind of fit in the middle of that. And the thing about the audition process is you never know what the other person wants. They can put that down on the sides that they give you the piece of script. They never give you the whole script, generally speaking. So they'll only give you what your character, what the part that your character needs to be for the film. And you can have the callback process. First you have the audition itself. And sometimes it's in front of the director. Sometimes the director is listening in or watching remotely because they are videoing the whole process. And you read with another person off camera. And And then there's the callback, and the callback can be generally in front of the director or the director and a writer of the film, screenplay person, or there'll be a casting person from the film itself. Usually I go to a casting agency in Boston, and then it's kind of a two-step process. So getting past that is kind of the bigger challenge for any actor, I think.
Yeah.
Having to do the auditions. There are a lot of actors who, once you get to a certain level, you don't have to audition anymore. And for them, that's kind of a fun thing. But not for where I am. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you're not supposed to take rejection personally. If you don't get the gig in the audition,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the best way that I've managed that is it's them, it's not you. You're doing what you think they want, and it's in their head as to what they want. When I auditioned for the film Super Troopers 2, I auditioned for one character, and he was an angry old Canadian, and I auditioned in character. That was kind of a no-no. I didn't know that. I didn't know you go in and you from the beginning to the end of the audition, you're in that character. But I did. And I got the call back. And I auditioned in front of the director, and who was also one of the writers, and another writer who was there, and they were both actors in the film. They're both part of the comedy group Broken Lizard. Mm-hmm. And so I auditioned in front of them, and I get the gig. So that was a lot of fun to do, and that was kind of the light bulb moment when you then realize that you delivered exactly what they were looking for. And to deliver comedy lines in front of the people who wrote them and to get them to laugh, that's really satisfying. And to do that on the set itself and to get them to laugh is also really satisfying. So that, then you realize, hey, I got it this time around. I captured whatever they needed.
Yeah. Yeah, you're doing something right once you get, the directors and writers' attention, that you're doing something.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My next question is, do you have any upcoming projects, any upcoming voiceover or acting projects?
I don't have anything per se. I do have an audition on Monday, and let's see. I don't know if you want to have that in there because you're doing it. You may want to edit this part out because you're not going to be broadcasting it today. But I do have an audition coming up for airline commercial. Mm-hmm. And it's a national ad. And if I get the gig for that, it would be a nice piece of change. Let's put it that way. That's usually how that works. A friend of mine, Chuck McCann, the late, great Chuck McCann, told me many years ago, he said, you know what the money really is? And I said, where? He says, it's in commercials. He said, the money in movies is okay, because he was in a bunch of films. He says, the money in films is okay, but the money in commercials is a lot different because they pay every time the commercial runs. And he says, if you can get a national spot, he said, the money is outrageously large. And the commercial, the airline commercial I'll be auditioning for Monday is a national ad, so I'm hoping that works out. Yeah. So that's one thing, and there's a possible piece for a TV series that's being shot right now. There's a book by William Landay called Defending Jacob, and Chris Evans is the star of that. And they've been in production. They're in production in Massachusetts until the end of August. And I've got an opportunity for a nice piece this week. I got my fingers crossed. I sent audition stuff the other day. They didn't ask me to come in, which was nice. They just said, we've got this possibility. The director wants to see what you have. So I sent a few things over. And I also auditioned for a radio commercial for a Massachusetts Carpenters Union, believe it or not, radio subsidize heavily, the Carpenters Union does, in Massachusetts. And so I auditioned for that, and we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah.
But here in New England, as opposed to other parts of the country, say, for instance, New York and Georgia, because there's a lot of stuff that's shot there, and in California, in New England, there used to be a season for movie work, and it usually was from late March until November, the beginning of November, and that was the prime territory where there was a lot of work going on. So for people like me, I don't go to New York. I'm not what they call SAG National. I'm SAG New England, and I hope to go national at some point. But it's a little extra dough, and having to go to New York to audition for things and all that. However, now they've kind of changed the parameters on the season here in New England, and it's just about anything goes. The series Castle Rock shoots in Massachusetts. The first season ran from July 31st of 2017, because I worked the first day on that, as Terry O'Quinn's stand-in and double. And I doubled and was stand-in for a bunch of other people. And it ran until early January of 2018. So the season ran into the winter because they needed some very bleak winter settings. And this year, they're shooting season 2. There was an extended period of lag in production for their own purposes. And this season, they started at the end of March, and that's running until probably the end of September. So that's season 2 of Castle Rock. That's in production now. So it'll be interesting to see how many other things are coming through. There's an Adam Sandler project that's getting underway shortly. There's a bunch of other things that are happening now, and other projects are in the pipeline, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, it amazes me because back then, just like Los Angeles, California, and New York, those were the hot spots for acting, but now many other places are opening up. Georgia, New England.
And Chicago is doing well because of the 2 TV shows that are shooting there, the Chicago PD and Chicago Fire. It's not shot in, L.A. or New York trying to double as Chicago, which a lot of times happens. There's a series that is called, I'm trying to remember the name of it right now, but it's supposed to be Boston in the early 90s, and they shot the pilot in Massachusetts, but the main production is going on in New York because the 2 leads in the show live in the city, and it's easier for them to shoot in New York because it's their show, They have to pack everything up and move to Boston for 6 months, which is generally the deal when you're doing a TV series. It's usually about 6 months worth of work.
Yeah. Sometimes it can be longer, It depends.
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. My last question to you is, what is your advice to people who want to get into acting?
Wow, that's a heavy question. I would say, for one thing, don't let your age stop you. There's a woman who at the age of, I think she was 92 or something, or 89, something like that, started acting, and she's in the film Black Panther. And she's doing other things, too, so it's never too late to start. That's one thing. So, and don't think that, I can't do anything. Do some Facebook videos, do some YouTube videos, get yourself out there, get people to see that you have some talent. And another thing, don't, as they say around here in the business, don't pay to play. Don't go to a casting company that asks you for money up front. Those are not legitimate companies. Casting companies never ask you for money. That's the deal there. They may have a kind of a subset thing that requires you to pay to get more notifications, but that's a whole other deal. Casting agencies in general never